Welcome to Tales from the Fandom, a podcast that brings a special guest out of the multiverse and straight to you. And now your host, David Ginsburg.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Tales from the Fandom. We are back, and I have another wonderful guest coming off of Instagram. I'm so happy to have found her and been able to follow her, and not only does she have some great fandoms that we're going to be talking about, but we're going to be actually having two episodes. I think this episode will be the second of her episodes, so be on the lookout for that first one. I am joined by Zaria. How are you doing today, Zaria?
I'm doing fantastic.
Well, thank you so much. I believe with the way that the recording schedule is working, this is going to be your second episode because we will already have our first episode released about a different fandom. But I'm happy. I am happy to have you. And if
thank you for having me.
People might not remember or know who you are based off of your name, but on Instagram you are SailorMoonTurtle.
I am indeed.
Now, I do have to ask, out of curiosity's sake, where did the name come from?
You're not the only one that asks. Okay, so a couple of years ago, back when Tumblr was somewhat popular, I wanted to make a Tumblr. So I had to come up with a name. I was like, what should my name be, guys? They're like, just put two things you love together. I was like, okay, Sailor Moon, Turtles, Sailor Moon Turtle. And they were like, that's genius. So it's just kind of stuck with me.
Okay, I now for real, like straight up, like real life turtles or like Ninja Turtles, just
real life turtles, because I love turtles.
Okay, so if a turtle is crossing the street, you would be off to the side to make sure it got to where it needed to go, right?
If I'm not doing it, then my friend's doing it.
Okay, that's good. We actually, that's one of our big things in our community is trying to make sure that if you're driving and you see a turtle crossing the street, like you help it get where it needs to go.
That's amazing. That makes me so happy. I got to tell my friends that later. Some people really don't care up here.
Well, the downside is that, you know, sometimes there's tortoises.
Yeah.
And people have to be told, you know, just make sure that they get to the side of the road. Don't throw them in the water, because if you don't know what you're handling, you might be drowning one of them.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. So I don't remember how I came across you on Instagram. It was either through just random searching or just maybe a connection in the Sailor Moon cosplay community. But I'm so thrilled to have come across your Instagram.
Who knows? Sailor Moon's all about destiny and all that stuff, so you probably got led to me somehow.
Probably. Is either that or through one of your other fandoms that we have previously talked about in a previous episode. What we're doing for people that are listening to this one and they're finding it maybe a little bit confusing is we're recording two episodes, but this episode is going to come out after the first episode that is talking about the RiordanVerse or Percy Jackson verse. So I'm trying to keep everything together, so
all
I apologize
concise.
for the craziness.
Nah, it's okay. I'm a beacon of crazy and calmness.
So one of your fandoms, obviously, has to be, hopefully still is, Sailor Moon.
Yes.
How did you first get into Sailor Moon?
Okay, throw me back to high school. Honestly, PGSM was one of the first things I had ever seen about Sailor Moon. Like, I had seen tidbits here and there, but PGSM was what really, really got me into Sailor Moon, probably about my 10th grade year of high school. I was obsessed with the show. I learned all the songs. I learned all the dances. Eventually, around that time, I had also found Sailor Moon Crystal, because, you know, Crystal came out for the 25-year anniversary of Sailor Moon, so I started watching that. And I would still watch the episodes as they continued to air until season 3 came out, and season 3 was over, and still patiently waiting for season 4. So I would credit it all to PGSM.
Okay, and for people that might not know, PGSM is, I believe it's what, Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon?
Yes, it is.
And that was a live action series that aired in Japan for, I think, a little over a year.
About 2 years. I think it came out in what, 2004,
I
2003?
think it's 2000, 2003, 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And it went for, I know, at least a year, probably closer to 2 because of how many episodes
Yeah, about
they
2 years. Yeah. And the stuff that they filmed after that.
Exactly. And I found my copies on a subtitle, like a special torrent website that used to translate a lot of Japanese programs that were coming out at the time, and they picked up PGSM to do all the translations for. And it's something I still have on one of my old hard drives in the computer, is all the episodes just sitting there. I mean, I haven't watched it in probably 10 years.
Oh, it's
maybe?
always a good time to marathon it. Always.
Well, what was it that drew you to Sailor Moon?
What was it that drew me to Sailor Moon? Well, like I said, PGSM was like the gateway for me. I guess because it was cool to see girls being empowered and saying, hey, we can fall in love and do these romantic things, but we're also freaking crime-fighting kickers. And it was cute. Very shoujo, very cute. I adore it.
Were you into like anime before that time, or before PGSM?
Oh, yes. I was into anime. I had heard so much about Sailor Moon, but it kind of wasn't my thing until PGSM came around.
Okay. I remember way back in my high school years that the newspaper had run a story when Cartoon Network had officially was going to air like Toonami way back in the day, and had an article.
Good times.
They had an article all about Sailor Moon and what you should expect from the show back in, oh gosh, 90, 93, 94. And
that's probably when it came over to America.
Yep. And I was like, okay, this is a show I can like check out, and I watched it for a little bit. It was cool. You know, my favorite scout is Mercury of the Inners.
Yeah. Sailor Moon is mine.
Nuh-uh.
Next to Jupiter. Okay, I gotta say Jupiter because Jupiter was technically the first sensei I ever cosplayed because I looked up to her. But then Sailor Moon came around. I guess technically Jupiter first, but then Sailor Moon second. But I really love Sailor Moon because I relate to her so much. And Jupiter. I relate to all of them. They just have certain traits and abilities that make me think of myself, which is another thing.
What is it about Sailor Moon as far as the character goes that you identify with?
Well, I am a very hopeless romantic, for one. Two, especially in the college setting I'm in right now, I'm always so tired and just want to sleep all day and eat, but I can't do that. I gotta do grown-up things and act like I know what I'm doing.
I totally relate to that, and it as a person of advanced age on this side of things, as we are talking, it doesn't get any better.
Aww.
Like, all I want to do right now is go back to bed.
Same.
Okay, so as far as Sailor Moon goes, like, do you have a favorite storyline? I know Crystal kind of is, each one is a little bit different. Like PGSM is totally different from the original anime, and then Crystal.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Crystal. I've heard good things about Crystal.
I would highly recommend Crystal. Crystal is primarily based off the manga, so it follows the storyline much better in comparison to the 90s anime, which had a whole lot of filler episodes, which I know a lot of people grew up on. But I would say for storyline-wise, I would totally watch Crystal. I always recommend that to people that want to get into Sailor Moon because they'll get the story a whole lot better.
Mm-hmm. How do you watch Crystal? Because I'm not familiar.
How do you watch it? Like in terms of where to find it, or just how I watch it?
In terms of where to find it.
Oh, you can find it on Crunchyroll. Or just any anime streaming site, honestly, because it's been out since 2014.
Awesome. I'll have to take a look for it. I wish
You should.
I wish it was on like Netflix, but
Oh, don't we all? It's actually on Hulu.
oh, well snap. I
Yeah.
have Hulu.
Yeah. It's on Hulu. I
So
think they have both the English dub and sub. I always recommend sub, at least for Sailor Moon Crystal, just because
just cuz why?
I think it sounds better. I'm not a fan of the dub. I guess because I watched the Japanese sub of the 90s anime. So,
Okay. Yeah, I generally I like for my personal pleasure, I enjoy listening to like the actual Japanese voices and then reading the subtitles. But I know
hmm
for other people, it just sometimes subtitles don't work, or maybe if you're listening to it in the background.
I'm both. Some animes I prefer dubbed, some I prefer subbed. It just depends on what it is.
So your favorite character, Sailor Moon.
Yes.
Jupiter was that first one though.
Yeah.
Do you have a Sailor Scout that you don't like? You can tell me. It's okay.
Oh no. I don't think well. I don't know. I don't know if you'd count her as a Sailor Scout, but I also don't want to spoil if you haven't seen like all 5 seasons of either the original anime or read the manga, because this character comes in much later.
You can spoil it. I won't tell.
And the only reason I don't like her because I hate how she was portrayed in the 90s anime. In any other adaptation, like in the musicals, mainly the musicals because it hasn't gotten that far in Crystal yet, or even in the manga, I prefer her over that. Sayako, I think I said her name wrong, but she's a Sailor Starlight. She's
Okay.
actually Sailor Starfighter. I honestly could not stand her in the 90s anime because she comes in the 5th season, which is the Stars arc, where, Eternal Sailor Moon happens, which is what I primarily cosplay from currently. Mamoru went to go study abroad, and Seiya's like, ooh, hello, Odango. Let me just try to be your boyfriend, even though I know you have a boyfriend. He's so obnoxious. At least in the 90s anime. I love her so much in the musicals and the manga, and hopefully when Crystal ever gets there.
Okay. Is Crystal still in production?
Yeah, season 4, I believe, is going to be a whole movie. I don't want to say 2 parts. It might be a 2-part movie, but it should hopefully be coming out next year. Been waiting like several years for this.
Oh my goodness, a whole movie.
Yes, rather than doing episodes, it's the dream arc, I want to say, since it's season 4.
Okay.
I'm excited. Some good stuff's going to be happening, and they released the character designs for all the senshi, so I'm very excited.
Okay, I need to catch up.
Yes, you need to catch up.
I guess I really should say I need to get started, and then I'll catch up.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. So if people haven't tried Sailor Moon, if people are listening and they're like, I haven't watched Sailor Moon, or maybe they watched it in the 90s and they're maybe, it's something that just haven't checked out recently. Like why should they get into Sailor Moon now?
Why shouldn't they get into Sailor Moon now? I think it's fun. I think every adult, no matter what their age, just has that childlike imaginative side that I think Sailor Moon really clicks with. Because I know that side clicked with me, even though I'm not that old, but I know I can always get away to my fantasy and hope that my prince will come someday and I'll be whisked away.
Okay. Awesome. So definitely check out Sailor Moon. As Zarya said, I know, and I definitely know the original 90s Sailor Moon is on Hulu. And Zarya says Crystal's on there, so
you should also watch the musicals. Can we talk about the musicals?
Of course. Tell me about the musicals, because I've heard of the musicals, but I don't know much beyond that.
Oh, goodness. All right. The musicals were also something I was introduced to around the time I started watching PGSM. But I started watching the old Sailor Moon musicals. They're technically called Sailor Mew, because that's what they call them in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So the first whole set, they have different stages in the beginning, depending on what actress played Sailor Moon. I prefer the first stage, which was like 1994 to about 1997 or 98, and that was with one of my favorite moons, Anza. It's basically, each musical is basically the storyline of Sailor Moon, but there's always dramatic twists and stuff, and it's so cute. Well, I think it's cute. Everybody calls the outfits horrendous and all that stuff, and the wigs are terrible. But I'm like, y'all got to remember, this was the 90s. No one had even attempted to cosplay or anything like that. But I think anyone should watch Sailor Moon musicals. There's the old Mew, which is from about, like I said, 1994, and then they went on a hiatus in 2005, and then with the 25th anniversary of Sailor Moon, they brought back the Mews again, starting in 2014 with La Reconquista, whole new cast, actually an all-female cast for all 5 musicals on and so forth. So I guess if I was recommending them, I would technically watch the new Mew first, which is La Reconquista, Petit Estranger, Nouveau Voyage. What's the fourth one? I had the fourth one in my head. Oh, Amour Eternal, and then Le Mouvement Final. Look at me remembering stuff. I was like, oh goodness.
Now, are those on Hulu, or are those something
Oh
else that you
no,
gotta look
they are
for?
not on Hulu. I would recommend Sea of Serenity. It's either seaofserenity.net or .com, but it has all the musicals on there. It even has all of PGSM on there. They recently got the Noki Mew on there, which I believe came out like last year. That's like my go-to when I want to watch musicals because they're perfectly subbed, perfect to download. I literally have all 5 of the new Mew musicals on my computer. Like, it takes a minute to download, but it's so worth it, and the quality is fantastic.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
I know that I've as I said, I had heard of the musicals, and I think I've even seen pictures of the outfits. But
yes.
beyond that, I had never learned more about it.
I would totally recommend New Mew first, which is from 2014 to 2018, I want to say. Because that kind of fits the crystal theme, if that makes sense, in terms of newness and storyline. And then I'd go back and watch the old Mew that everybody trashes, but it's okay. Because it's just the outfits and the wigs. I'm like, y'all, you got to look past that. They can all sing beautifully. They can all dance. They can all act. It's so good. It's great. I will always advocate for the old Mew because that's where I got my start, and where a lot of people got their start as well before the new Mew even came out.
That's right. Everyone gets their start somewhere.
Exactly. Anza walked, so Satomi can run. If you're into memes.
Oh, memes.
Memes.
I get about 30% of them. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I don't know what it's from.
That's
but
okay.
Sure.
That's a recent one for you.
All right. So beyond Sailor Moon, there is a show that I am familiar with only because I know of a friend that cosplays the character.
Ooh.
So we're going to talk about Danny Phantom. Now, I think I've seen the actual a picture of the character, and it looked reminiscent of the characters from, oh gosh, the two the kid Timmy, I think, and he had like fairies.
The Fairly Odd Parents.
Yes, that I thought
because they're made by the same creator.
Well, see, there you go. That's why I thought the design was look like similar.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, Danny Phantom, how did you get into the show? What drew you into it?
Oh goodness. #childhood. I actually watched the show back in 2004, 2005. I want to say it came out around that time period. I was very, very young. But that's kind of how I got into it. It was a new show on Nick. Different storyline compared to what you normally see. Action-packed. Danny Phantom. I mean, me being a young child, I was like, ooh, he's hot. So totally let me watch this. And of course, I've gotten back into it now. I got to credit a friend. Their Instagram is xxjustaghost. But They're the one that actually got me back into the fandom, mainly because there's characters that they wanted me to cosplay, and I was like, I'm not going to cosplay them. And then the next thing I know, I'm buying stuff for these characters, and I'm like, what have I done to myself? I'm back in this hole that I didn't want to be in for several years.
Oh my goodness. So Danny Phantom was originally something that you were into as a kid.
Yes,
Lots of
childhood.
action.
Yes.
Okay. What is the general premise of the show?
Let me just rap the theme song. I'm kidding. I won't do that. Danny Phantom, he's a 14-year-old kid. His parents are ghost hunters. They're trying to get the ghost portal that they made to work, but it didn't work. So he steps inside of it. He cuts it on. The machine turns on, and he basically becomes a half ghost.
Oh, dang. That sounds pretty
Yeah.
cool.
That's kind of the gist. I was thinking of the theme song in my head because the theme song tells the whole story in a sense.
That is so... I wish I had a show about ghost hunters. I mean, besides like the generic reality based ones that.
Yeah, and like Scooby-Doo.
Well, hey, Scooby Doo is what I grew up on, so you know.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay. I grew up on that too.
Okay.
I wasn't like old school, like 1960 something or 1970 something, like with Scooby-Doo. Where are you? But I grew up on that. I had sisters. I did. They love Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo and Power Rangers were like their thing.
Yeah, Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
All of my shows, all of my shows are getting rebooted, so I'm pretty happy with like the reboots of shows. Although the last time I saw Scooby Doo, I don't think like that reboot had gone well, but maybe Netflix can snag it and do a good reboot.
I hope so. I think they're just doing all these movies and stuff as a cash grab because we all know Frank Walker. He's going to go eventually. I know they know it too, so they're trying to get everything they can out of him before, the inevitable happens.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So for Danny Phantom,
Mm-hmm.
is it like a 2-season, a 3-season? Like how long did it go for?
It went for about 3 seasons. I can't remember why it was only 3 seasons. I want to say it was a money issue. Like Butch Hartman spent way too much money than what they originally had, so Nick cut him at 3 seasons. Because I believe there was supposed to be a whole lot more, but alas.
Okay. Yeah, I Googled. I used the power of the Google. It looks
Power
like
Google.
it looks like 3 years.
Yeah.
And it does look like overspent the budget, and that's why they canceled it.
Yep. It was such a good show.
Good.
It was a good show. That happens to a lot of shows though. And that sucks.
That is I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Like,
imagine being a fan at that time, knowing that you'll probably get more, and then it's like, psych.
oh my gosh, that's harsh, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so Danny Phantom and you're back into it.
Yes.
For the cosplay reasons.
Yes. And nostalgia. I love doing like nostalgia cosplays. Gives people some smiles and be like, oh, I remember that show.
And it looks like, for those who are listening and maybe want to watch it, it looks like it's available on Hulu.
It is available on Hulu. I binged it several times.
Are the episodes, 20 minutes each, give or take?
Yeah, about 20.
Okay.
Sometimes a little less. There are some specials in there that are a bit longer. And I know the very last episode, I want to say it's about an hour or close to an hour. But it wraps up everything pretty nicely because they knew they weren't getting to season 4.
Oh my gosh. And it looks like it had its 15th anniversary this year.
It did. The anniversary.
So crazy.
Yep. It's that old, which makes me feel old.
You're not old.
I know, but
you're still in college.
I can feel old.
Yes, you can feel old. It's
yes.
Okay. Okay, so Danny Phantom definitely needs to be on the list. If people want to watch that, they can watch it on the Hulu.
Yes.
and get into that. And apparently, says Zarya, it's a good show.
It's fantastic. It has wonderful characters. It is so funny. Like, I literally went back to watch a couple episodes. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. Like, it's so comedial, and it also deals with some serious, well, I wouldn't say serious issues, but like moments where like people at that time could relate to, or even now. I think it's great. It's fantastic. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
I'll have to give it a look, because I do love my animated shows.
You would love it. If you like the Fairly Odd Parents, you'd like this show.
Okay.
It's a different kind of spin, but you'd enjoy it.
Is it more grounded than Fairly Odd Parents?
Oh, most definitely. It actually has a story compared to Fairly Odd Parents. Just kind of, yeah. I don't mean to diss, but Fairly Odd Parents is just Timmy makes a wish, something goes bad, has to fix it, or something along those lines. Fairly Odd Parents didn't really get a storyline much until like season 4 or 5 when they started doing like the big segments. But like even then, Danny Phantom has a somewhat cohesive story. Somewhat.
Okay.
Somewhat. That's just my opinion, though. I don't mean to diss anybody, but Good Chartman worked hard on that.
For all emails related to the Fairly Odd Parents, you can email me at talesfromthefandom@gmail.com.
I'm gonna get roasted by so many people.
I will tell you that there has never been anybody complaining about stuff on this podcast ever, so.
I love Fairly Odd Parents. Like, it's childhood for me too, but I always prefer Danny Phantom. He just holds that place. But I mean, almost any Butch Hartman show is really, really good, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as he doesn't overspend.
Yes. Which I don't think he has recently. I don't think. He has a YouTube channel, so I watch that. He still does a lot of Danny Phantom stuff on there because he knows people like it and it won't come back, so he just keeps teasing it. Unless it does come back. That'd be fantastic.
That'd be something that they'd have to probably have to talk to Nickelodeon about, or whoever owns the actual rights to it.
I would say he does, but who knows, because with how SpongeBob's been lately.
See, now you're bringing things up that I have no idea about. What
you don't know?
SpongeBob?
Okay, so the creator of SpongeBob died like last year, right?
Yes.
And one of his wishes was that SpongeBob not be made into no spinoff or anything. Like, he doesn't like those. He doesn't want it to be made into a spinoff or a sequel series or anything.
Okay.
So Nickelodeon's like, okay, we won't do that. Creator dies. We're going to make a spinoff series and all this other stuff. And I'm like, y'all disrespecting this man. That was like his one wish for his show.
What are they trying to spin it off into?
Some kind of, I can't remember the name of the series because I really don't want to give it that kind of attention because it doesn't deserve it. But I can't remember. But it was like a big thing, especially like after the Super Bowl.
Right.
The Super Bowl was a huge disappointment.
See, now I'm looking it up. Okay. I won't mention it on here, but I totally understand why people would be against the spinoff. Okay.
Because it looks horrible and it's completely against the creator's wishes. Like, how are you going to do a man dirty like that?
Yep, I do see that there's a few petitions online.
Yep.
Strongly against the idea of ever creating a SpongeBob spinoff. Mm-hmm. Ever.
Because it's just a cash grab. That, of course, little kiddos are going to watch because little kids are entertained by anything.
Yes, I can absolutely agree to that because of my 3 kids and their willingness to watch garbage sometimes. And I say, why are you watching that?
You got to show them some Samurai Jack or something.
Oh gosh, that's so good. All right, so we talked about Sailor Moon. We've talked about Danny Phantom, and now there's an anime with a funny name, and you're going to tell me about it because the only thing I know about it is its funny name, and it is Fruits Basket.
Fruits Basket hits home, and I might cry a little bit because okay, I'll tell you. Okay, basically, Fruits Basket, despite the name, is about a girl named Toru Honda. She starts off living in a tent by herself because her mom died in a car accident. And she meets the Somas, a family with a very dark secret, and she eventually discovers some of their secret, and that's all I'm going to tell you.
What? That's it?
That's all I'm telling you. Because if I tell you what some of the secret is, well, I guess I could. I could tell you the secret, but I won't tell you what the curse is.
There's a secret and a curse?
Yeah, there's a big old curse with that whole family.
What? All right. First tell me, like, how this is the theme of the podcast is how did you find the show, and what drew you to it?
Another high school show. I can't actually remember how I got into it. I just remember seeing it, and it was always on like those top 10 anime lists. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. About 17 episodes later, I'm crying and wiping my eyes because I wasn't expecting such a roller coaster of emotions like that. And I think the episode that really did it for me was the episode where Toru gets sick, and I was sick watching that episode, and I just got a whole lot of relating vibes and just a whole lot of relating because it's a slice of life anime, so it shows a whole lot of home moments and a whole lot of dark moments, make you want to cry moments.
When did Fruits Basket originally come out?
I want to say 2001. It's really old. It recently got a reboot, which I'll talk about in a minute.
Okay.
But the old anime, I want to say, was probably about 20-something episodes, 26 to 27. And it stopped right there, even though the manga has a whole entire story. Like, I own the 6th volume of the collector's edition. So people have been waiting, me included. I haven't been waiting as long, but some people have been waiting several years for like a reboot or something. And like December of last year, I want to say, they announced a reboot and they released a trailer. And I remember screaming in my dorm room and crying like, finally, it's the year. Oh my goodness. Like, I still remember holding my throat because I had screamed so loud. Oh my goodness. And the animation of the reboot is so beautiful. It's just, I can't even.
It's a slice of life anime with a dark secret and a curse.
Yes.
So is it more I guess my question is, it doesn't lean heavily into like, does it lean heavily into like the like, is the curse like a paranormal thing, or is it more like just there's something weird going on?
I would say something weird. I mean, I can tell you like the gist of it. I won't tell you what the actual curse is and expand into detail on that. But basically, Toru meets the Somas. Actually, 2 of the Somas at that time went to her high school. One of them being Yuki Soma, who's known as the Prince, and then eventually Kyo Soma. But basically, whenever a member of the Zodiac is hugged by the opposite sex or they're under a great deal of stress, they turn into a member of the Zodiac. So, for example, if Toru hugged Yuki, Yuki would poof and turn into a rat.
Okay.
Because he's cursed to be the rat Zodiac, even though he's technically a year of the dog.
Okay.
It's all cute at first, like, oh, he's a little rat, or he turned into a dog, or he's a cat. But it gets so serious, and so much sad stuff is involved, especially when you think, oh goodness, just thinking about it like makes me tear up a little bit, because watching the reboot was 2 times harder, because for some reason they made the stories a whole lot sadder. So I'm sitting there already knowing what's going to happen, but I'm bawling my eyes out. Like, oh, okay, you made this 3 times sadder than before. Let me just empty out a whole box of tissues.
Oh my
Don't
goodness.
mind me. But it's so good. Like, literally the last episode, I want to say the last episode of the reboot for the first season comes out today. And it's the one episode that's going to have everyone shook, because as soon as I watched the episode from last Friday, because it releases every Friday, probably around now, actually, it's about to air in Japan. I'm like, okay, guys, we got a week to emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually prepare ourselves for this. Because I saw the screenshots of the episode, and I'm not okay. I'm not okay at all. Because it basically ends up one arc, which is called the True Form arc. And it has everybody terrified, because the original anime was sad, and no one's seen what certain stuff's going to look like in this one. So we're all scared. I'm scared. Probably after, since this is the second episode of the podcast, I'm going to go watch it after class or something. And I'm ready. I'm not ready, but I'm ready. I'm very scared.
Oh my goodness. So it's getting and this is like a for real reboot, like new animation and everything?
Yes. I don't know when seasons 2 are going to come out. I don't know if it is. Well, actually, yes, it is, because they promised that they're going to do the whole story, which made me cry even more. But who knows? Maybe this could be the last episode of season 1 and they already have season 2 ready. I don't know, because a whole lot of people that watch the old anime or even watching the new anime and they haven't read the manga, they don't know what's happening. They don't know what happens after this. And it's like, oh, y'all thought this arc was bad? Oh, wait. Like, it's so good, but oh my gosh, there's so many moments that just make you want to be thankful for everything that you have, and you want to call your parents and be like, I love you so much.
Oh my goodness. That
it
sounds...
gets that deep.
Wow, I'm gonna have to check this one out.
But it's so cute, though. I think you'd enjoy it.
So for everything that we have been talking about today, it's definitely something of add it to my list.
Nice.
And take a look at it.
I would watch the reboot. You can watch it on Funimation. You have to have a premium account to watch the newest episode a day, or even on Crunchyroll for that matter. But there's 20 after today. There'll be 24 episodes, but you can watch all 23 today if you feel like you want to binge something. I just say bring your tissues, especially if you probably haven't seen the old anime or read the manga for that matter. Ooh.
Yeah, I did not.
So you be coming into this fresh.
That's right, fresh. I like to come into shows fresh.
Then you'll definitely enjoy it.
So we've covered Sailor Moon,
yes.
Danny Phantom, Fruits Basket, and now the way that I found you because of the super cool Instagram is through cosplay.
Yes.
How did you get into cosplay?
All right, throw me back to middle school. Okay, so my friends were the ones that actually got me into watching anime somewhat in 7th grade, and it wasn't until 8th grade when they had gone to MomoCon and DragonCon, which are common conventions in Georgia. They're like, oh, you should go to this. You'd have so much fun. And I'm like, you get to dress up and nobody like looks at you weird or anything? Sign me up. So my first cosplay was for MomoCon. And before I even knew what Con Crunch was, which I look back on that and I cringe and I'm like, wow, this is pretty good for a con crunching experience. My first cosplay was actually Ash Ketchum. My dad helped me make it. We bought some terrible fabric. I didn't use fabric scissors to cut the fabric, which is a big old no-no. I cut off sleeves from an old t-shirt and a collar from an old t-shirt. I dyed my own gloves. I glued like ribbon or something onto the jacket. He sewed it all together with this hand sewing machine that we had bought that day for me to wear tomorrow. And I felt so proud. I was like, we made this together, even though you low-key don't know what it's for. And I went to my first convention that next day, and I had so much fun, and it just kind of stuck with me.
What was it? Okay, so you had your first costume and you went. But
yes.
What was it about the experience that made you keep going?
it was nice to see people enjoy something that you love and then they also love, and then you just come together and it's like, we both love this thing. Let's get to know each other. Because I remember I was waiting in line to get a pass. You know, I had my ash catcher jacket on. I had my jeans, even though it was like 90 degrees since we're in Atlanta, Georgia. And I had my hat and all that. And I remember this guy, he was going down the street in his car, but he had waved at me and honked his horn and gave me a thumbs up. And at that moment, I almost cried a little bit because I'm like, somebody else appreciates this. Because I kind of grew up in a household where I didn't really watch anime a whole lot, and I kind of couldn't, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of relieving to see other people like the same thing I liked. Of course, as I grew, my household grew, and now they support me in just about anything I do, which I greatly appreciate, because there's no other support than family. That kind of keeps me going.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it is always helpful to have that support, even if it's just, I like what you're doing type thing, or you're doing a good job. Like any
Yeah.
support is better than disinterest or nothing.
It's more like we don't really, you're doing something, you're doing great, you're doing awesome. It's kind of the gist. Like, we don't watch anime, we don't know what that is, but you're doing some good stuff. So that makes me happy.
When you decide to cosplay a character, how
Mm-hmm.
do you decide the character that you're going to do? Is it more that you have a connection to the character, or you're drawn to like the outfit?
It's honestly a mix of both. At least way back when, I would normally cosplay characters that I've always wanted to do, that I didn't think I could do, especially with Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon was probably one of the first big cosplays I had ever done. My my friend back in like 2016, she wanted to be Mercury with me because I was like, let's do Sailor Senshi. This was like a month before AWA, a month and a half. Neither of us knew how to sew, so she got a sewing machine. Oh my goodness, I think we had stayed up till like 4 a.m. to finish everything, or rather her finish everything and I help her. And we went to the con about 4 hours later. But it was, oh my goodness, just thinking about the experience, it was all so worth it because we had so much fun. Everybody liked the cosplays, and it was just a stepping stone into something much greater. But in terms of how I pick stuff, even now, because I'm technically in a cosplay group right now with my two best friends, one of them being the friend that helped me make the Sailor Jupiter Fuku, and the other one, she joined us along the way, probably around last year, the year before. Basically, we pick an anime or something that has our interest. So, like, for example, I can say we're doing Soul Eater next year. So next year we're doing Soul Eater. That was technically my pick because Soul Eater was technically one of the first animes I had ever seen and I fell in love with. And I wanted to be Death the Kid, which is funny. I loved his outfit. I loved his personality. In certain ways, I could connect with him. I'm not OCD by any means, but I do like things being in certain order, and I do act a certain way that some people may be like, are you judging me? I'm like, I'm not judging you. I may have a judging face on, but I'm not judging you. I just have that normal disposition sometimes. So it just varies.
What is your favorite thing about cosplay now?
The multitude of people that I've gotten to meet and connect with, like you, for example, or you recently released an episode with Susie in the Sky Designs, right?
Yeah, her episode is actually going to be, let's see here. We're recording today, like 9/13. Her episode is going to come out on the 23rd. I'll probably edit this part out. Yeah, 23rd.
Okay, yeah. So actually, because last year was when the group kind of started getting its toes wet and we started making our cosplays from scratch, at least on Namara's end. I did what I could, and of course I started learning how to sew earlier this year. But I met Susie in the Sky Designs. I didn't meet her, but like I met her through Instagram, through love of Sailor Moon. And then I met her group, and then she led me to other people, and then other fandoms led me to other people that I know and that I'm going to work with soon. So I just love how you can connect with so many people that love the same thing you do, and then eventually you just find out more, and then you might become friends, and just it makes me so happy because like at MomoCon, I got to meet a multitude of people that I never thought I'd get to meet, and it actually wanted to meet me. I'm like, are you sure you want to meet me? I'm such an awkward being. Are you sure? But it was a great experience, and I think that was probably my favorite part, or my favorite part in general, just meeting a whole lot of people that had the same love.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I talked about with her in her
Mm-hmm.
episode is that the Sailor Moon cosplay community seems to be just super inclusive and accepting and just really just, supportive of each other regardless of, like geographic location.
I can attest to that because legit, thanks to her and like a multitude of my other Florida friends, I'm going to Hallmat. So I won't get to see her sadly because I don't think she's going to Hallmat this year. But it's amazing. It's amazing. I think that's the only way I can say it. I'm grateful to have met her and connected with so many of her friends and more.
It is. Who or what are some of your favorite characters to have cosplayed?
Ooh, that's a fun question. Well, I always have to credit Ash Ketchum because if it wasn't for Ash Ketchum, then Eternal Sailor Moon of this year would not have happened. Because I always preach that you got to start somewhere. Because so many people, they ask me, "What are some cosplay tips? Like, how did you get from here to there?" And I'm just like, you got to start somewhere. It doesn't matter if it's a closet cosplay. It doesn't matter if you just put on a hat and you call yourself somebody. You have to start somewhere because in the end, you're gonna grow and you're gonna prosper and you're gonna be wonderful. But my favorite, so yeah, Ash Ketchum, I always have to say him. I don't know. I had to say Eternal Sailor Moon because that was a dream cosplay. That's another one. And then always got to credit Sailor Jupiter. my my friend really wants to burn those costumes. I'm like, no, they were a start. You can't have this without having this.
You
And
got you got a memory box that one.
exactly, it's chilling somewhere. And then a lot of people don't know. I actually cosplay from Oran High School Host Club. I was Kiyoya Otari. I really want to redo that one day because I had like a very large, oversized Oran jacket, and I was walking around the con. Oh my goodness. Same with Death the Kid. So many, so many cosplays are just getting a reboot. But if I had to pick favorites, I always got to credit Ash Ketchum. I always got to credit Sailor Jupiter, and most definitely Eternal Sailor Moon.
I guess especially with the more recognizable ones like Sailor Moon,
Mm-hmm.
like when you're walking around, is it do you get a lot of attention from it? Is it more that it's like, okay, so there's another Sailor Moon, or is it more like do you have kids coming up to you? Is it just like what's your experience in one of like a very high recognition costume?
I'll talk about Eternal Sailor Moon. Um, oh my goodness, we were con crunching in the hotel room getting this thing done because we were doing a Sailor Moon panel. Um, it's a very good and a very enlightening experience. A lot of, especially on that day when we debuted Eternal Senshi, because we basically had a whole group. We were doing a photo shoot in Centennial Park. And, we were taking photos, and then so many people, young and old, wanted to get photos of us. And of course, it could be because, we're Sailor Moon and we're a pretty big group, but also the form that we cosplayed, you don't see a whole lot of people cosplay from. And I remember this little girl, she had walked up to us with her dad, but she was so shy, and she wanted a photo with us, but she didn't want a photo with us. It was so cute, and I wanted to cry, and it was totally in character for me to cry since I was Sailor Moon, but I couldn't cry because it would mess up my makeup. And even like getting into the convention hall, we would take 5 steps and somebody would want a photo. And even after the panel, we basically stayed situated in one spot because so many people, it would be like in cycles coming to take photos of us and asking us these questions, and little children coming up and wanting to take photos of Sailor Moon and being like, you're so pretty and I want to be just like you when you grow up. And then I'm wanting to cry even more, but I can't because I'm going to get yelled at because of my makeup running. That was like the main thing. But oh my goodness, that day, that made me love the Sailor Moon fandom even more. And that just made me enjoy being a cosplay even more. The number of people that lit up or wanted a photo or, wanted to ask us a question or even more. Oh my goodness. It was such a good day.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. And then I cried when we got back to the hotel room. At least a little bit. Either from like sleep deprivation.
To cry.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So let's see here. You said that you're attending Holiday Matsuri, which is a Orlando convention.
Be my first out of state con with my group.
What's up? Out of state convention.
Heard a lot of good stuff about this one.
Holiday Matsuri is one where, because it's in my backyard essentially. It's something where I've heard about it, but I've never gone. And I think I told you I have one of my other guests that I've had on before is going to be a cosplay guest, and I was like, I need to go there because she lives in California, and I don't get to meet many of my guests at all. And it's like, oh dang, I need to go. There's so many people I know that are attending now.
You gotta go.
Even if I just like sit outside and hold a sign or something and be like, come talk to me for 5 seconds.
Yeah. That would be great.
But we shall see. Maybe maybe it happens on my birthday weekend, which is always problematic. It's like it's my birthday weekend. It's my wife's birthday weekend because we have like our birthdays are 2 days within each other, so we generally like block out the weekend. It's like okay, I don't think she's gonna want to go to a convention.
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Zaria, for people who have listened to this episode and not the other episode yet, where are some of the best places to find you on the internet for them to check you out?
Welp, I have my main Instagram, which is where I'm kind of the most active, which is at SailorMoonTurtle. And then also, I do have a cosplay group at Different Breed of Geek. We also have an Instagram, and we have a Tumblr. So that's kind of the best ways. Oh, and I have a TikTok. So I got to bring that in there because a lot of people are getting into TikTok nowadays. So I have a TikTok. I have an Instagram. My group has an Instagram. So if you want to contact me, my DMs are always open. If you want to find me on TikTok and comment on my videos, you're more than welcome to. Just don't call them cringy.
Now, I do have a question because I think you are the first person I'm talking to that is active on TikTok.
Yes.
Can you? I've seen the videos. I've seen like videos from you and from other people.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
You don't get it?
Is it because I'm old that I don't?
Nah, because there'd be like some 60-year-old people on there having a blast and having like 1 billion followers. I think it's just something. Once you start it, you kind of can't stop it. Because I only started in like early February of this year, and it's an outlet where I can do a whole lot of cosplays not a lot of people know about. I can do some closet cosplays. I can test out stuff, and it's just a whole lot of fun. It's just a fun, creative outlet for me, and for anybody for that matter, at least in my opinion.
How does it work? Like, does it tell you like what you need to say? And
nah, it's like a video app, so you can make videos and you can like lip sync to audios and you can dance to audios. There's a lot of trends that go on, so you can like be a trender and follow what most people are doing. I just cosplay on there, and I might cosplay and do a trend. I test out a whole lot of stuff on there as well, like different AUs and all that.
Okay. Because I was like, how did they know what to lip sync? Like, I don't understand. Is it on the screen for them to follow along with? I don't know.
No, it's just audio. So like, for example, like last night I did an audio or a video to Victorious by Panic at the Disco. So you just click that audio and you can either film it at regular speed, 0.5 speed, which is slower than 0.03 speed, or you can film it at 2 times the speed or 3 times the speed. You can like do all these movements. You can lip sync the song, and then when you're done with that, you can add effects, and then you add hashtags and stuff at the very end before you post it, so it can be seen and all that fun stuff. Okay. Kind of like it's fun. I didn't think it would be fun because I kind of joined for the sake of, I want to support my friends. And then the next thing I know, I'm making content and I'm like, what have I done?
What have you done?
Yep. But now people like me on there. And I'm like, I guess that's a good thing.
Yes, that is always a good thing.
Yeah. I always get told I'm famous. And I'm like, I'm not famous.
Yet.
Nah, then a girl at my college, I was getting lunch. She was like, hey, you were on my For You page. You're famous. And I just yeeted out of the cafeteria so fast. That's like the first time I've ever had someone recognize me, let alone at my own college. Like, oh no.
But that's so cool.
It is, but just, oh. Because a lot of people on my campus are into TikTok now, which is cool. It's an evolving app. You should totally join it.
Maybe I'll check it out. I mean, I did join Instagram for the podcast just because it's a lot easier to figure out who like to talk about things, because I knew cosplayers enjoyed fandoms because they're paying money and blood, sweat, and tears into making costumes.
Oh, especially blood, sweat, and tears. That.
Yeah, hopefully they'd be willing to talk about it.
Oh goodness, that Eternal Senshi cosplay took over a year. I remember so much sleep deprivation. We got no sleep near the end. I pricked myself so much because I was learning how to sew, basically hand sew snaps into my collar and all that. Just so much effort. And people want to push that aside. So much effort goes into stuff. And that's why, like, you're a cosplayer, no matter how big or small you are, because you put effort into it. And it doesn't matter how big or small that effort is. You put effort into it.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Zaria, I appreciate you coming back for an episode.
Thank you for having me again.
Awesome. Well, everyone, I would love for you to go check out Zaria's Instagram and TikTok. I'll have the links for all that, so that way you can find her and check her out, because she loves stuff, and you should follow her and give her awesome messages.
So that way I can give you awesome messages. Remember, you gotta smile and be positive. If you're not doing that, that's okay. You'll do it eventually.
Thank you for listening to Tales from the Fandom. Subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/talesfromthefandom to see photos, links, leave feedback, and check out upcoming guests. If you'd like to be a guest, email David at talesfromthefandom@gmail.com.